Is there a motion to go into open session at this time? There's a motion by Mr. Warner, seconded by Ms. Lemoyne. Any discussion on the motion to go in open session? Please cast your votes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you, Ms. Voce. At this time, is there a motion on the floor? Okay.
Yes, I make a motion to renew Ms. Voce's 2-year contract with the same terms and conditions.
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. White. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Warner to renew Ms. Voce's contract for an additional 2 years with an option of continuing after that. And a second. And before we vote on it, I'd like discussion. Just want to let the public know that we did evaluate the superintendent, and Ms. Voce has received an excellent evaluation, and she remains very dedicated, competent, and committed to the St. Bernard Parish school system, and we appreciate all of her hard work and efforts, and we feel blessed that she's still with us and agreed to an additional 2 years contract. Anyone else? Ms. Voce?
I just wanted to say thank you for that, offer. I feel that St. Bernard Parish school system has been just really a major part of my life and my career, and I feel very blessed each and every day to say that I am the superintendent of St. Bernard Parish Public Schools, and I'll do everything in my power to make all of our students in the community proud, to be a proud member, to be a proud student of our school system, and a member of our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Voce. Anyone else? Okay, roll call vote on that motion, please.
Mr. Campbell is not with us. Ms. Harris?
4.
Ms. Jackson?
4.
Ms. Lee Bowman?
4.
Mr. Long?
4.
Ms. Lemoyne?
4.
Ms. Dysart?
4.
Ms. Rodney?
4.
Mr. Rodriguez?
4.
Mr. Warner?
4.
And Ms. White.
4.
Congratulations, Ms. Voce, and
you.
thank you again for all that you do. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Harris, seconded by Ms. Jackson. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The meeting's now adjourned. And we will move into our committee meeting in just a second. You should have your folders before you.
Let's just go straight into it. We have to do that.
Okay. I'd like to call the general committee meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Heavenly Father, we call upon you this evening, asking for your guidance in our decision-making. Give us the wisdom to make our judgments based on the best interests of this community and the children we serve. These things we ask in your name.
Amen. Ms. Harris, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Ms. Voce?
Mr. Campbell is not with us. Ms. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Jackson is not here. Ms. Lee Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Ms. Lemoyne?
Here.
Ms. Dysart?
Here.
Ms. Rodney?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Warner?
Here.
And Ms. White.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Voce. First item on the agenda is Super News and Teachers of the Year. Ms. Voce.
We're very happy today to, we have Jack Jackson from our Penn studio in the back getting ready to roll a presentation on our Teachers of the Year. We are splitting it up. This week we're going to do our Teachers of the Year, and next week we will do our Students of the Year. So with that, Mr. Jackson, would you please roll the tape?
And now from the desk of the superintendent's office, it's time for Super News.
Welcome to this special edition of Super News, where we will meet a dynamic dozen of outstanding educators who truly represent all that is good in our public schools. It's time for our Teachers of the Year, the Super News Special, coming your way now.
One thing I think my peers definitely see in me is my insane amount of enthusiasm. They often make fun of me and call me like the Disney princess of the school because every day I find I have to come in with that bright, sunshiny attitude, and try to pull my kids out of their kind of dark places sometimes. And if I can do it, they think they can do it too.
Vulnerability. I have to be vulnerable enough for my kids to understand that I'm human. I make mistakes, and I admit to my mistakes. I let them see it. And by doing that, my students are willing to take chances with me that maybe they wouldn't take with another teacher. And I think from being consistent with that, it transfers to all my co-workers' classes too. I think, or I hope, those kids are willing to take chances in their classes as well.
Steadiness, confidence, discipline, definitely being available whenever my coworkers need me, whenever my students need me. I try to make myself available. I'm trying to be a sounding board, be that therapeutic ear for people, and just try to be a good friend overall.
I come in every day, I do my job, I build my relationships with my kids. I think, it took me a minute, but this is my year. I feel like I finally feel comfortable enough to show what I know, share the wealth.
I would probably say that it would be the dedication that I put in working with my students to make sure that they grow to become successful learners.
I am dedicated. I form relationships with my students. I'm involved in several committees, even committees that are not just with the children, but with also getting my faculty together as a family.
I think that they see consistency and general care for the students and wanting to make the school a more positive culture.
I hope I can inspire my students to have very good critical thinking skills, to be good, productive citizens in society, and to further their growth as a little historian in the making.
I hope that my students feel confident and ready for 4th grade, and I hope that their reading abilities have grown so much that they grow a ton of confidence in themselves and they're just ready.
Not just be able to do the simple things like read and write and understand Romeo and Juliet. I want them to, because they're right at that precipice of being in one area where it could go not so great and one area where they could go really great. And I just want to push them toward the good side more and more. And that's honestly probably why I became a teacher, because I want them to be the best that they can be.
I hope they're ready for 3rd grade. That's number one key, is I hope they're ready for 3rd grade. I hope I have every one of them in my class reading.
I'm hoping that they can apply the things that they learned, whether they wanted to learn them or not. I hope they've internalized some of those things, not just academics, but how to be a good person and the best student that they can be.
So a lot of the time in class what we'll do is we'll have a lot of hands-on discussions with their peers, because a lot of the time the students tend to learn better from each other than they do from me. So I try to get them talking and discussing the topics at hand. And one new thing that I've started implementing this year are our Canva slides, which the kids love all of the extra bells and whistles that come with it. The drum rolls, the curtain calls, all that kind of stuff.
It's just a matter of incorporating movement into the classroom, so when they get to actually just get up during a question and move to a corner, I have letters set up across the corners of the classroom, and when they get to just get up and move, they're excited just to be able to get out of their seat. Figurative language. We've done a lot with idioms, similes, metaphors. They even had an assignment where they had to make an idiom and bring it to school. We've done scavenger hunts with the idioms. when we first started off, that was very foreign to them. They didn't know, but we talked about song lyrics, like Miley Cyrus, I came in like a wrecking ball. That is figurative language. We talked about movies, Forrest Gump, boy, life is like a box of chocolates. And so now that we're halfway through the 9 weeks, they are pointing out all the different pieces of figurative language that are a part of their life that they just never realized or paid attention to before we started doing this unit.
It's difficult for a student who's in a higher level math class and it's very competitive in there and they might not feel comfortable. And so I make sure that I go out of my way to offer extra help to those kids to get their confidence level up so that they'll feel adequate in that type of class, and also just the fact that they belong there.
Did I always know that I wanted to be a teacher? I'll tell you this, absolutely not. Because I initially started out in nursing, and I was just, became a substitute teacher just for extra money to travel back and forth to the city every day. And I didn't know they put me in a particular class and it had these initials and I didn't know what the initials meant. But I love the kids.
I have wanted to be a teacher ever since I was in 4th grade with my teacher, Miss Scott, in 7th grade at Tris with Miss Collado, and Mr. Villard's class, and all of these teachers who've been great inspirations for me. I knew that I wanted to make an impact and I knew that that was going to be the way I was going to do it.
I had a teacher at Andrew Jackson High School that showed me that I could be successful in math. Miss Lametta, she was one of my favorite math teachers, and she broke down that wall that I had that scared me. And I think that the teachers that I've had in the past have really guided me to this place.
I walked in 5th grade and I saw my 5th grade teacher, Ms. Geraldine Myers, in front of the class teaching, and I was absolutely captivated by it. You know, just the way that she presented herself, her speech pattern, her pacing, the way she moved about the room, and the way every kid in the class hung on her every word. When I saw that, I said, wow, I would like to have an impact on folks like that.
I realized that, you know, my husband at the time, he helped me to realize that maybe I was in for the wrong thing. He told me, he encouraged me, he said, you talk about these kids every day. He was like, this is all I hear. He said, you never talk about nursing and what you're doing in college. He said, I think it's maybe time for you to make a switch.
I think my best advice to a new teacher would be to start every single day as a fresh day with a wealth of love to give, because I think that if we can focus on loving each other, loving learning, loving ourselves, it makes for a much more positive outcome in the long run.
Build relationships. Your children in your class need to know, or even outside of your class, they need to know that you care about them. If they know that you care about them, then they will do anything you want them to do.
They need to bond with their students. They're going to get the most growth from their students by bonding with them. They're never going to forget it. They're going to grow in confidence. They're going to become successful because of it, and to not give up.
I would tell them to treat them how you would want them to treat your children, because I know that a lot of young teachers don't know how to lead by example maybe, and might want to get down to their level and relate to them, but I think that the idea is to set the expectation as what you would want them to be as an adult.
St. Bernard was where I wanted to teach ever since I was a senior in school. I knew I wanted to come back in the parish because I knew the community here was so welcoming, so open, and supported you in any type of way. The community here is very strong and it's very loved, and the support is unfounded.
I'm tired of the charter school system. I want to get back to something more traditional. And like I said, it was like a movie, you know, just happened to be out and about and meeting someone who teaches down here, and we got in a conversation. loved what she had to say, introduced me to the principal, came in, did the interview, and it was great. So I'm here, and I tell people all the time, I should have been out here 20 years ago.
I feel like there's such a big community here that I've lived on the North Shore. I didn't experience that there. In St. Bernard, you do, and that's why I wanted to stay here, and I want to stay here until I guess I retire or until I die, because I just enjoy being here and I enjoy the community.
I would definitely tell any person interested in getting into education for the first time that St. Bernard Parish would be a great place to start because of the level of support.
A lot of support. We get a lot. I've never had a time that I've needed help with something that I haven't gotten it. And I feel like I'm respected as an educator. I'm taken seriously. I'm affirmed when I'm doing things really well, but I'm helped when I'm not. I don't feel beaten down.
St. Bernard Parish is just a one-of-a-kind parish. I feel that our teachers are supported. Each school loves their administration. I'm pretty sure from the people I speak with, they feel like their school is a family. I see when we come together in the beginning of the school year, everyone is happy to see each other. It's not like we school against school. It's St. Bernard Parish. St. Bernard is a great place to work, to live, to be. We have the best of everything. Our school system has the best of everything. We have the best support. It's just a great place to teach.
Congratulations to these amazing teachers, and kudos to our 3 parish-wide winners for this year. We thank you for sharing your time and talents with our school community.
Well, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Super News, where we always let the Super News roll.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Barry. The Teachers of the Year were quite incredible, and we appreciate having them in St. Bernard Parish and their dedication and all their hard work. We are very blessed here to have wonderful teachers, administration, and support staff and students. So thank you very much, and congratulations again to all the Teachers of the Year. Okay, before we go on to the next item on the agenda, I'd like to take a point of privilege to congratulate Chalmette High School, the Cassars, the band director, Caleb Lambert, and also Mr. Jason Rust, who put on a beautiful performance at the Chalmette High Cultural Arts Center for with the Christmas show. The amount of talent that our students have and the confidence that was brought out by the musicians and the vocalists, it was just, it was incredible. We had students who played the bass, the flute, any instrument you can imagine. And the vocalists, it just showed the pride, and it showed so much talent. It was just incredible. You thought you were at a symphony, with an orchestra, and they just did an excellent job. So I just want to give a shout out to the students and all of the teachers who worked with our students to give them that confidence and to really bring out the best in them. So, and Ms. Voce, I know you attended also. It was just an incredible experience, I think, and I was just so proud of them and the amount of talent that St. Bernard Parish has with our students is incredible.
Each year as we graduate kids and we think, oh my goodness, look at all the talent that is moving out, and then we see more and more kids coming in, and it really is a tribute not only to them and their families, but the teachers who work with these kids do an incredible job. You mentioned our CHS Voices directors and our band director, Mr. Lambert, and our talented music teacher, Mr. Rusk, and Ms. Jill Mitchell's Chalmers performed as well. And then we have an incredible tech crew under the direction of Fred Bear and Brianna Acosta, who also contributed heavily, because not only do the kids perform, we have an incredible tech crew who does everything, the lighting and the filming and all of the stage and the setup and the movement. So it's all student produced and student driven. And I think that is the most valuable piece that we learn from all of this, because our students who are performers develop that poise and stage presence. The supporting groups like the tech crew have an incredible amount of skills that they can take out into the workforce as soon as they graduate, with a lot of the industry-based certifications that come along with it. So, you know, thank you to all of the teachers and the school administrators there who made those performances just come alive.
Thank you, Ms. Voce. And the Cassars did a great job also of helping put it all together. And I'm glad you mentioned the tech group. It was incredible, the tech show that they put on also. So congratulations and thank you. All right, next item is an education item. Ms. White.
Thank you. Yes, on the agenda 3.1, we have the Head Start program update.
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm here just to give you some updates from our Head Start program. First, before we get started with the packet, I just wanted to let you all know that the week before Thanksgiving, we had our Head Start monitoring review. We had 3 members come on site to visit us, and then Mr. Fernandez spent a week virtually with a member of the review team. So once we get those results back, I'll come and share those with you as well. So the first thing that I have for you is our PIR, which is our Program Information Report. This is completed at the close of every year. And it's just a brief look at our program as far as our students, health, curriculum that we submit to Head Start so they can see what we did for the school year. So the first part is just enrollment. We are funded for 112 students, but we did have 117 families walk through our door last year. At the bottom of page 2, you can see how they become eligible for the Head Start program. The majority of them became eligible through public assistance, with the majority of that coming from SNAP benefits. And then the second highest category is based on their income. After that, it just goes through our students wanting to know the language they speak at home, their race, ethnicity. We put all of that in there for Head Start. Starting on page 6 covers our staff. So we put in their qualifications, and all of our staff have a bachelor's degree, and we do have 1 Head Start teacher with a master's degree. And then it asks about our staff as well as far as their ethnicity, the language that they speak. Next is the health section, which is on page 11. And our nurse submits this information as far as how many students were up to date on their shot records, any health issues that we had throughout the year, like seizures, asthma, any vision or hearing problems. She reports on body mass index, did we have any kids that were overweight or underweight, and how many were just right on track. And then it also asks questions about our children with disabilities. How many did we serve? How many students did we put up for evaluation? How many students qualified? And of those students who didn't qualify, why did they not qualify? And you can see that most of them were still in the evaluation process. It just took, you know, the 90 days that it takes, so they didn't qualify within the school year, but it picks right back up when they start in kindergarten. And then we had some students who we put up for evaluation but came back within the normal limits. The last section focuses on our parents and families. Just wanting to know how many of our students come from single-parent families, how many are being raised by grandparents, is anybody with step-parents, adoptive parents, so we put all that information in there. Any parents in school or job training, we report on that, and then we get all that information from our application when they register with us. And then what kind of services did we provide for our families? So we give them a survey at the beginning of the year asking them what types of things we can help them with, whether it's job training, clothing or housing assistance, speaking a different language, going back to school. So we have those numbers for you of how many workshops or meetings we had with our parents to get them that information. And then the last section is just our coaching. Our education specialist was trained on practice-based coaching at the beginning of last year because she was a new hire. So she was able to provide intensive coaching to 1 staff member. She has started this year with 2 already, and then she'll pick up 2 more staff members when we come back after the winter break. All right, the next item in your packet is our TS school report, and so this is the information from the fall. Our students were assessed mid-October on several areas of development, and as you can see, the students came in the highest with physical development, with 50% of our kids meeting or exceeding expectations in October, and that encompasses physical development and gross motor development as well. Our students, as we have seen in the past, did come in the lowest in math, with only 11% of our kids meeting or exceeding expectations. But we did notice that between this year and last year that we have seen a rise of students coming in meeting expectations, to where a few years ago we only had maybe 2% or 4% meeting expectations. So now we're at 11% meeting those expectations in math. And within that math category, the area that we've seen they had the most trouble with was shapes, not just saying it's a rectangle or a circle, but being able to describe to you why this is a square or why this is a triangle. So we've seen the numbers lower in that category. In the next few pages, we just took that information and just broke it down for you in different ways for you to look at. We broke it down by gender, we broke it down by race, and then the last page is just a little snippet of classroom data just to show you that the kids at Smith were meeting expectations at a higher percentage in all areas of development. And then Chalmette Elementary was meeting expectations the highest in literacy. And so from that, like I said, we've seen that language literacy and math, the students are coming in higher than in years past. And then the next packet for you is just our closeout data from last school year, just to show you where our students ended the year with. So our goal is to have 80% of our kids meeting or exceeding expectations in all areas of development. And on the chart at the bottom of the first page, you can see that we met that goal. Anywhere from 80 to 95% of our kids were meeting expectations in all areas of development. And looking at last year's data, we decided to keep math and literacy as our main focus for our student learning targets for preschool, but we did notice a decline in cognitive development, so we're going to focus that at our January PD with our staff, seeing what was happening in the classrooms, meeting all together to see, maybe somebody's doing something great at their school that they can share to get the students up in that category, because that's more of their approaches to learning, so it's not really a measurable thing that we can do for student learning targets, but it's all about how the kids learn, how they play in dramatic play, how they interact with their friends, how they take what the teacher's saying and apply it to other situations. So we're going to work on that for our January PD. And then the last 2 items I just put in the packet for you, just as a reminder. It was our goals that we're working on as a program. I presented these to you when we did the grant application in March. We have 7 goals that we're working on as a program with our TTNA specialist, who is our training and technical assistant. We meet with her every 2 months just to touch base to make sure that we're doing what we need to master our goals and get those taken care of for our next grant. Any questions?
So I'm noticing in the staff, we have 7 classroom teachers, is that correct? And those 7 all either have baccalaureate degrees or higher. And then we have 7 assistant teachers, and currently those 7 do not have any of those higher certifications. What's the opportunity for our graduating seniors who are in the child education pathway for them to work within our program, and how do we get our assistants into higher education so that they can get the certifications? What are we doing to help them get certified, and how can we help them? So I guess it's a 2-part question.
Talk about the assistants. What certifications they do have with that we get them certified in?
Our assistants are required to take the TAPE test just as any para does. And then just as far as preschool, we certify them, well, not certify, but we train them in TS School, which is our assessment. And then speaking on the students, we have an early childhood network where we partner with type 3 daycares in our parish. And Miss Kathy Huff from Nunez is on that committee as well. So she has brought to our meeting this year that partnership that's taken place with those high school seniors. So our early childhood centers are really excited to get them in to see if this is what they really want to do, get that background, and then I've offered to her to have them start subbing and get them in with us because they'll already have that associate degree and then keep going and they'll get their bachelor's degree.
Yeah,
and
I
come.
think that would be
Yes.
excellent. I think
Mhm.
that's excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a comment. A couple of us were on the committee when Head Start came and were interviewed by them, and they seemed, they go all around the nation.
Yes.
And they seemed extremely pleased with our system and with our program, and I just want to congratulate you and all of our teachers and paras that work with Head Start and do such a wonderful job. We're very blessed to have Head Start here. And, you know, the amount of growth that your summary sheet has is incredible
Yes.
from the beginning of the year to the end. So it shows that there's a tremendous growth of the students who are able to participate in Head Start.
Thank you.
And so y'all are doing a great job. So thank you, and to all of your staff members and paras too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just want to echo Ms. Dysart's sentiments. Thank you so much, Chantel, for your leadership over this program. Thank you to all the staff for the hard work that they've done. And special thanks to the members of the Head Start Policy Council. And I know Ms. White represents the board on that council. And so their feedback, the feedback from the parents, from our community partners is so wonderful. And so we want to thank them for their continued partnership.
Thank you.
I just want to mention, Ms. Gallinger is doing an excellent job. She has come up as a teacher in our program and then as a coordinator as well. And then when Dr. Raviota retired, she now runs our preschool program, all of our 4-year-old programs, including Head Start. And she's done a wonderful job, just went through her first compliance audit in which she was in charge, and I just want to say that she's represented our school system and our community extremely well and has done a great job in her new role.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, thanks.
Just, why don't you do one to accept the report?
Want to ask for, is there a motion to accept the Head Start
I'll make a
application?
motion that we accept the.
Yeah, I'll second it. Okay, Catherine made the motion, and Sean seconded it. Please cast your votes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. Next item on the, Ms. White, thank you. Next item on the agenda are personnel items, and there are just a few.
Ms. Pritchard is not with us this evening. She has been really ill. Has been here since 7:30 this morning, and we made her go home at 4:30. And these are just the changes since last week. So if you have any specific questions, I can answer those for you. I hope.
Any questions at this time? Okay. There being none, we'll move on to the next item. Superintendent's notes. Ms. Bochet?
It's just been a week since our last meeting. I think that you talked about the tremendous variety show at the high school, but just as impressive are the 3 middle schools. In fact, Ms. Jackson left a little bit early because her son is in one of them right now as we speak over at the Cultural Arts Center. For, I think, Trist Middle School is tonight, AJ and St. Bernard are Wednesday and Thursday nights, and then Saturday will be all of our elementary programs there. So it'll be a full day of just, I guess, merriment for the holiday season. So If you have any children in any of those performances, just please, children, grandchildren, friends, please come and see them. I know they get so excited when their family members are there to share in their performances.
And Ms. Voce, isn't Christmas at the complex next Tuesday?
It is next week. And that'll be
Next
with
Tuesday, on the
yes,
12th.
On the 12th.
All the elementary,
Well,
several
many
of
of
the
them will
elementary.
be performing parish-wide Christmas at the complex, yes. And then the Islanios one had been postponed till this week as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Warner?
Question, I've been reading about the appeal process by seniors for the LEAP test.
Uh-huh.
And my question is, I know it was passed in June and it was an emergency order and there's a lot of drama surrounding it, but my question is, so they appeal to Bessie, or does it come to the local board or to the administration? How does that, just the
Okay.
appeal process, that's, I just try to keep it to that, that's all. I'm
Oh,
interested
boy,
in.
this is a major issue and really mess. Just to give a little background, this whole process has been maligned, misrepresented by certain members of the state and community who I really don't feel actually know a lot about the process or have the best interests of kids at heart. There are only 8 states left in the United States who require exit exams for high school students. Louisiana is only one of 8 states that requires passage of standardized, statewide standardized assessments to graduate. That's our LEAP test at the high school level. Of those 8 states, and I think New Jersey just added back, it might be 9, 4 of them are considering doing away with them as well, as has most of the nation. But of the 8 states who still have it in existence, every state except Louisiana has an alternate pathway for graduation. Every state of those 8 states has an appeals process except Louisiana. So all this hullabaloo about lessening the value of a diploma, to me, is just not a valid argument in relation to the entire country. It's not going to change the status of achievement within our state any more than it did in all other states. There's more to becoming a high school graduate and a productive member of the community than a passage of a LEAP test. No private school has to pass that LEAP test, and no kid who is on a voucher with public funds who goes to a private school has to pass that to graduate. So it's only public school students who have to do that. So if you go to any other school other than a public school and a public charter school, which are public schools, who do have to pass, nobody else has to do this. All right, having said that, the reading level, as we talked about before, Lexile levels, many cases are above grade level, but we won't even get into that, Mr. Warner. I'll just try to address your question. So this all started way back a few years ago. Students with disabilities, who are called the April Dunn students, students with severe disabilities, there was legislation passed to allow those students to graduate with a regular diploma without the passage of a LEAP test. So we already have in the public school system a whole segment of students who do not have to pass the test in order to get their high school diploma. They still have to pass all their courses, but not the sections of the LEAP test. So we had another group of students, English language learners, who have come to the district or come to this country this was meant for students who have entered the country at the initially at the 7th grade level or above, because it shows 7 years it takes to completely master a language and be able to function fully within that language. So it started out being that the test itself, it wasn't that the kids did not know the concepts on the test, is that they could not read, interpret, and express themselves because of the language barrier. Yet they could pass all the tests, they could take other standardized tests in a different language, they could take the GED in a different, or the high set in a different language and such, but not the LEAP test, except for some students in the math area. But anyway, so that's where it started. Then Bessie members were initially told you can't carve out just the section of the ELL learners, that it should apply to any student. So come up with a methodology that would be an alternate pathway for a kid who maybe couldn't pass a portion of the LEAP test but could still demonstrate the knowledge. So the group got together, and there were 2 young educators from Orleans Parish who led this effort, and I have to give them kudos. They did an unbelievable job of research and helping to put together a methodology and a pathway which said that if the student took the LEAP test twice, did not pass a particular portion, they could produce the portfolio. The school still got the zeros on the test. You know, it wasn't that the school was going to benefit on the LEAP assessment portion of accountability. But they could develop a portfolio of their knowledge, which is a legitimate research-based practice for educational achievement. They would also, of course, have to pass all their courses, do the portfolio, participate in at least 30 hours of remediation in each of those classes. They would have to then also either score 17 on the ACT, a silver on the work keys portion, which is given by the College Board exams, or get an industry-based certification showing that they have mastery of a particular skill, whether it be welding, electrical work, or something, to show that they're ready for the workforce. So they would have to jump through all of these hoops in order to present this to their school leadership initially to see if they could qualify for that waiver. And the way the policy was written was that at the school level, they would assess it, the school building level committee would assess it, see if it met all of those criteria, then recommend that the student be given, have earned his or her high school diploma. That was sent to the superintendent, and the superintendent would verify that. If the school exceeded 3%, then the state could come in and take a look and audit that to make sure that the process was rigorous enough and that all criteria were being met. So it was a rigorous appeals process. Well, just like everything else, it seems like in life these days, as well as in education, everybody lined up on different sides of this. So the Bessie Board took a vote in June, and this passed in June with a vote of 6-5. 6 in favor, 5 against. Our state superintendent was against it. And there were many groups against it, so it's been a constant struggle and a constant fight. And trying not to get too far in the weeds in this, whenever Bessie passes or introduces a policy, it has to go through the Administrative Procedures Act policy. It has to be published. It's got to have a 90-day notice of intent. It has to be published in the Register. It has to be open for public comment. It has to be looked at again. So it's, since June, been going through all of these processes. And some people have been dragging their feet on it, and the 6 who are board members who were in favor of it, we have been pushing to have it put in. Well, and again, without getting into the weeds, we think it would be ready to go into effect on December 20th. Well, the Bessie Board president felt that there were many students who would have could graduate at the end of the first semester through this process. So she issued an emergency rule to do that. That instead of waiting to have it in effect, that it would be in effect earlier, pending then ratification of the Bessie Board at the next meeting, which we have next week. And there were reasons for that, which again, I'm not going to go into. All right, then all the opposition came out, and the attorneys came out, and the legal people came out, and going through all the little technicalities, saying, well, you really don't have the authority to do so, that the state superintendent would have to initiate this process. So there's a whole issue, many issues surrounding it. So the Bessie president decided, rather than become the focus of that, she withdrew the emergency resolution yesterday, with the intention that it is supposed to go into effect on December 20th. So she withdrew it yesterday to stop some of that and did an excellent job. And it had been my intention to go up there and stand with her at that, as a couple of the other Bessie members did, but I had to meet with our attorneys yesterday. I couldn't go. But she really, I think, made an incredible statement in how, and had students like tell their story of, you know, this one young lady, 4.0 advanced placement classes, passing all of the rigorous advanced placement courses and such, but because of the language barrier, couldn't pass the U.S. history end of course exam. So she's not going to get her diploma if this thing doesn't go into effect. And you could go person by person. So kids who have dyslexia, who don't have an IEP, you know, maybe just a 504 plan or something, and can't pass that standardized test, they're not eligible then for a high school diploma. Kids that have severe, maybe anxiety problems, test whatever, as documented by physicians and such, that would be another consideration for those kids. But without this policy, it would never be. Those kids will never graduate because of this one test. So there's a lot going on with it. So to make a very long story short, it is supposed to go into effect by December 20th. There are opposition forces who are going to try to stop this. The new Bessie Board comes into place on January 8th, and at that time, I think it is their intention to reverse it and kill it. So I don't know where we stand with it. Right now, it is not in effect yet. So we'll see what happens on December 20th.
About the appeal process, so the school administration would be
The school administration, it starts with that school building level committee, or the committee you put together at the school, that evaluates the portfolio, that makes sure all the criteria are met, that the either industry-based certification, the ACT score, or the work key score is sufficient, that the remediation has taken place, and that the students have taken the requisite number of tests at one time. So they're supposed to make that initial decision, send it to me as the local superintendent, who then ratifies that.
Yeah,
the state can come in and audit us if they so choose to do so, or if we ever reach a 3% threshold, if that policy remains in effect.
Yeah, the article alluded to that this is becoming a lightning rod by Bessie. And I don't understand how Bessie can pass a policy, but then the state legislature has oversight over them, and they overturned it, and then the governor came in and overturned them. So it's been a lot of
well,
drama
it's crazy going through that process that's set up. The legislature has the ability to convene their education committees and review those particular policies and make a recommendation, like to say no, yay or nay. If they say nay, the governor then has the authority to overturn them and to say, which he did in this case. So there's nothing decided yet.
Thank you
Mr.
for
Warner.
the clarification. I just didn't know.
It's clear as mud now. It's clear as
well,
mud.
it was just vague on whether or not they were going to come before the board for an appeal process, or
No.
who was doing the appeal.
The local school board, as it's written right now, does not have anything to do with that process.
Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it.
As it is currently written.
So,
Mr. Rodriguez.
if I understand what's being said, and a lot was said, December 20th, something goes into effect that if maybe if you graduate, let's say from Chalmette High School, you have a diploma, you don't have to pass the LEAP test. Is that what I got out of it? Am I wrong? No.
No, it's not that simple.
No. Okay.
What you
Why
got
would
out
it be?
of, if the policy would remain into effect, if a student was lacking a portion of the LEAP test, remember there are 6 LEAP tests they take. If they were lacking some of those LEAP tests, they could appeal, but they had to have all of this other stuff in place. They had to be job ready, they had to score well on a national assessment, which is the ACT or the work keys, show a portfolio, been through remediation. It was a very lengthy process they had to go through.
So as of right now, that's still in effect, a lengthy process?
We don't know.
Nobody knows?
We don't know, to be perfectly
So basically,
honest.
what's going on is some people don't have to take the LEAP test and they can have a diploma.
No. Everybody has to take the LEAP test. Everybody in high school has to take it.
Okay.
And they have to pass it as of right now, yes.
Okay.
That's what it is right now.
Right now. Because when you were speaking, I thought you had mentioned something, kids in a private school don't have to take the
Oh,
LEAP test.
no. I'm talking only public schools.
Okay. So
Okay?
basically.
Only no kid in a private school has to
So
take
when I
the
was,
LEAP
from what I understood, so basically, some people in private schools don't have to take the LEAP test.
Correct,
And
right.
some
They
people
never
do.
take the-
And that's never been challenged legally. That it's not fair.
No.
Interesting.
No. Right.
Would that be something a school board could look into, having a district attorney file a suit that it's not fair? I mean, it's not fair.
Private education is private education, and they are accredited differently than public schools, and they have the right.
But they still also get a diploma that is approved by the state.
They do.
They do.
And you can
the
sue for
state
anything.
could.
A litigation.
So some people get to drive a Cadillac and some people drive a Volkswagen, and it is what it is. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Harris?
The only comment I do want to make, because I'm not going to be here on the 13th, is I want to congratulate and thank our superintendent for her 8 years of service on Bessie, because next week will be her last meeting, and she's done a wonderful job as a Bessie board member, and it's been great for St. Bernard Parish to have that representation at the state, and been great for the state to have such a wonderful superintendent to serve. So congratulations and thank you for your years of service at Bessie.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. I do appreciate that. It would be nice not to have to drive back and forth for these meetings, to be perfectly honest, but it was quite an interesting 8-year experience.
Anyone else? Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn? There's a motion by Ms. Harris. Is there a seconded by Ms. Rodney? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you and good night.